Julie, Kelly, Emily, and Liz are the Ghost Moms, a paranormal investigation team from Kansas who are mothers by day and ghost hunters by night. The team has a unique ghost hunting style that I've never seen before. Aside from bringing a variety of equipment, they also use positivity and a motherly appeal that makes the paranormal feel comfortable enough to communicate with them. Tonight they are extra scared though, because the Ghost Moms are exploring an abandoned haunted prison at the Missouri State Penitentiary, a place where their motherly charm is not particularly useful. As they peer down a long dark hallway, scary ghost noises beckon them from within.
It's really scary not being able to see anything but through the camera.
Here it is again with the sound up, the supposed creepy voice caught on tape. It could be a ghost EVP, or it could be something else like a bat flying away. It's hard to say which. They set up motion detecting paranormal equipment in the area where they heard the noise and apparently are able to convince a ghost to come out of its cell.
Can you touch that ball? Oh, well, touch the light if you live here. Oh,
Thank you.
Okay, let go.
Oh my gosh.
A scary, loud noise from another cell demands their attention, and so they place a music box on the floor to see if anything is there.
Why is it speeding up? It's speeding up. It's not stopping. It is really strange. It's really weird.
They are scared because somebody has to be turning the handle to make the music play faster, and as you can see, none of the ghost hunters are near the object. It goes faster by itself.
Why is it doing that? Oh, the REM pod's going off, Julie.
REM pod just went off.
Their equipment detects a ghost in the hallway when none of them are anywhere nearby, so that's bizarre to say the least, if not paranormal. Maybe it was a rat running by, but I think we all know it was probably a spirit. After the Ghost Moms split up to go exploring each haunted prison cell for more paranormal evidence, one of them hears what they think is a scary whispering voice, followed by a fit of laughter. Was it an EVP, or was it one of her fellow ghost hunters? A group of kids are hanging out at a park in New York when a much older man strolls through their group no less than 3 times. In his left hand is what appears to be some kind of small bag with a tightly wrapped camera lens sticking out the middle. The camera is held low and pointed at the teens as he walks by, and I could be wrong, but it looks like he might be trying to stare at someone out of the corner of his eye without alerting their suspicions. Finally, after standing in the middle of the crowd without moving for over 30 seconds, one of the teens calls him out for his allegedly shady behavior. Watch how quickly he bolts and tell me if you think he was up to something no good.
No, you're really awkward. I have to know that.
This video is undoubtedly real, and all we can do is hope this man was eventually brought to justice. It's almost midnight when this YouTuber makes the mistake of going for a late night motorcycle ride, completely unaware of the paranormal activity about to be caught on camera. He sees a figure in white and slows down, suddenly feeling unsafe and vulnerable with a ghost in his sights.
दाना पानी बीच है रात के लेट हुए हैं डर लग रहा है दोस्तों
As he speeds away, he says the mysterious figure appears and disappears in the side view mirror. I kind of see what he's saying, but the mirror is so dirty that I'm not sure if this proves much of anything. Still, what this person is doing by themselves at midnight is anyone's guess. They They seem to be slowly looking for something, which is beyond creepy when you think about it. Desert workers in Portugal were in for a giant surprise after a huge humanoid decided to wander around the remote job site. The workers were casually filming the desert landscape and having a private conversation when they noticed a hulking creature stomping its way across the prairie in the distance.
Caralho, velho. Puta, onde que tá agora, pô? Olha lá, olha lá.
This towering humanoid looks 3 times the size of a regular person. The length of its forearms alone is probably the size of a grown man's leg, and despite being heavily hunched over, it looks to be well over 7 feet tall. It's almost as tall as the tree it disappears behind. The stunned Portuguese workers were filming for a bit, and when the creature doesn't re-emerge, they wisely choose not to pursue and the video ends. They definitely made the right decision by leaving it alone. One look at its massive arms and long legs and you'd have no doubt that this monster could have easily defended itself against them. This 10-minute video shows a toy ambulance going off at random, even though it normally requires someone to hold down the red buttons on top to make any noise. What's really weird is that it seems to respond to the voice of a child. Maybe it's just me, but it almost seems as though the ambulance was waiting for the child to count to a certain number here.
9, 10, 11, 12.
It goes off a few other times, most when the child is speaking or about to speak. Oddly enough, both of these clips seem to involve the number 12. It's 6 in the morning, and a YouTuber named Sheezy is about to go home after a long shift at the hospital. All he needs to do is return this 1-ton x-ray machine and then clock out. Unfortunately for him, the elevator gets stuck on the 5th floor and suddenly drops to the 1st floor without warning. It happens so fast that the floor numbers don't even register until the very end, but it's not over yet. The elevator rushes from the ground floor to the 5th floor, ready to drop again, and if that x-ray machine slides back and pins him against the wall, it wouldn't matter if he's at a hospital or not, because it's going to flatten him in seconds. This time, he hits the emergency stop before he can drop again. After a minute and a half, engineers rush to get him out of there. A man has a rather big problem in a small room. His lights are turning on and off on their own, and he can't figure out why. Across from him is a light switch that he is standing nowhere near. Not that pressing the light switch makes much of a difference. The light keeps turning on and off in rhythmic intervals regardless, like something's trying to communicate to him its presence. After 5 minutes, it finally stops through no doing of its own, and it never happens again. He shows every wall except the one to his immediate left, so perhaps a second person is standing by a dimmer switch to fake this video. But what's weird is how, almost 2 years ago to the very day, he caught something on camera that was bizarre. A door that kept opening on its own.
Staying unrest was a bit stilted and a bit uncomfortable, so give it a 6.
No one is visible on the other side of the door when it oddly opens. Like the lights, the door only did this for a single day and never again. Was a ghost to blame? This bike rider is about to get ghosted. Published by Scary Desk in February of 2022, a man on a motorbike stops in the middle of the road and he's looking down the street at something. A pedestrian also stops nearby and he seems to be looking at the same thing, which so far is off screen. After the pedestrian leaves, we see this. A shadow figure walks determinedly at the dude on the motorbike. As he gets closer, he disappears for a moment, but the man deliberately pushes his bike over as if to make a blockade between them and then runs off. The shadow figure suddenly reappears, and he surprisingly runs off too in the opposite direction. What is going on with this confrontation? It looks like the shadow was as afraid of the encounter as these guys were. Route 666 in Ohio is well known for all sorts of paranormal sightings, such as hitchhikers without a face and other demonic entities. With this in mind, a YouTuber named The Planet Earth decides to take a long drive down Route 666 at night and records everything with his dash cam. The entire 17-minute video is rife with fear and suspense as this YouTuber thinks he sees something multiple times and bravely stops the car to investigate. One part of the video is particularly concerning. Keep your eyes on the left side and tell me if you see anything weird in the darkness.
Okay. What is that? Going towards.
I'm not sure if this is just a reflection of a road sign or something, but there appears to be two glowing eyes on the left side of the road. If these are reflective markers, then I'm not sure why someone would bother putting two of them in the middle of nowhere like that. With all of the rumors surrounding Route 666, I wouldn't be surprised if this red pair of eyes belonged to something supernatural, waiting for the next car to break down. This is the story of the Cage of St. Osith, published on the website The Ghost Hunt UK in January of 2018. A writer and paranormal investigator by the name of Brad Mack gives a little background about himself and his family of dream chasers who love haunted locations, the supernatural, and investigating the lives of those who stick around after having long passed. According to Brad, he's seen some crazy things in his time as a paranormal investigator, but this piece of evidence is the most terrifying. During the Dark Ages, Essex was basically the Salem of the UK. Lots of so-called witchcraft and witch hysteria, resulting in spirits remaining there centuries later. For 4 centuries, the cage in question was locked up in a single building that had a separate cell for those who were considered witches. You can be sure it's left its mark. According to stories about the old place, one of the tenants who bought the place in the 19th century sold it just 2 weeks after buying it for a third of the initial cost, likely due to whatever he'd experienced inside the home. According to the current tenant, took his own life in the master bedroom after becoming a recluse. Even more chilling, there is an old mental asylum opposite the cage which is also reputably haunted, as well as a haunted 2-door pub down the street. Now to the events that were caught on camera on December 2nd, 2017. During the investigation of the cage, Brad's Mel meter, an EMF measurement tool, kept fluctuating a lot. To add to that, whispers and heavy footfalls were heard throughout the night, and lights flickered frequently. Brad also claims to have been pinched on the leg, and he managed to capture what he calls stick figures on camera. When he tried to touch one of the figures, it recoiled, but the thing that frightened him most was caught on iPhone footage from CCTV at around 3 a.m. This video shows the master bedroom, which Brad calls the most hostile room in the house. Placing a camera and walkie-talkie in the bedroom, Brad and Dave watched from downstairs, along with flickering lights. Brad heard a growl and 3 bangs of a door. Then they called over the walkie-talkies. As they couldn't see one of the volunteers on camera, another volunteer answered that she was right next to her, but the only thing they saw in her place was not Debbie. This is Debbie. This is what they captured on film. Is this a trick of the light? Has Debbie been possessed by something evil? Or is this not Debbie at all, but rather the ghost of a witch? Either way, based on the story of this place and the footage captured, it looks real to me. Well, we've all heard the story of Old Nessie, aka the Loch Ness Monster. You haven't seen anything like this footage. Published by Mark Hayes in October of 2014, the mythical creature surfaces in this scary video. The footage shows something large adrift in the middle of Loch Ness. The enormous creature breaks the surface with its eel-like body. It weaves around the lake, coming closer and closer toward the camera. Birds fly down, appearing to land on its back for a moment before flying off again. The creature's body even seems to curve up out of the water. While I've never seen a more convincing Nessie video, skeptics in the comments have me questioning things. Some commenters say it moves too rigidly and mechanically, and is more likely to be an underwater cable or a water dredge system utilizing a hose. Others think it could be an animal, not a monster, with Sue Copening writing, "Recently they have found eel DNA in the locks in great numbers. Nessie could simply be members of a large species of eel, or perhaps eels. Is that all Nessie is? A gigantic eel?" It certainly has me questioning things. A man finds himself trapped on the 30th floor of the Shinjuku Center building in Tokyo after the entire city was rocked by a 9.1 quake. Now nowhere is safe and there is nothing left to do except to record as doors and cabinets swing open uncontrollably and the entire building shakes.
Oh! 危ねえマジで危ねえマジで危ねえ
Everything grows eerily silent, and then this voice cuts through the speakers. There is a lot of frantic chatter in the background, so I think it was a live broadcast, not a recording. Try and translate if you can, because if you were there, your life may have very well have depended on following these instructions.
ただいま大きな地震を感じました。この建物は地震に対して安全な設計になっております。
After a while, the speakers turn off, and the guest hopelessly watches as the buildings sway like trees. It's kind of hard to see what I'm talking about, because the building he's in is shaking too. This second video, taken near the top floor of the Shinjuku Center building, shows how bad the shaking really was. The buildings look like they are going to topple at any moment, but they are actually designed to be incredibly flexible and can withstand intense vibrations. Keep in mind that these are just the smaller aftershocks, and not the actual quake itself, which was, believe it or not, much worse. There's more to this selfie than what meets the eye. Posted to TikTok, Dita and her friends pose for pictures, but someone else sneaks into the last shot. In the background, a girl is seen peering through a crack in the door. In other frames, she is not there, but then again she appears peeking around the corner. Is this just someone who wants to be included? Or is this a ghost? Phantom photobombing? On the other side of this fence is nothing but miles of vast wilderness. Exactly what lurks beyond this point is anyone's guess, but apparently something huge and hostile has been regularly coming into the backyard of a YouTuber named Big Dill for some reason, possibly in search of its next meal.
But what happens is this creature comes up against this fence and it jumps this fence. And it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now.
Literally 2 seconds later, this wild and hungry howl fills the night.
I'm getting this footage. And did you hear that?
Now here's the part that's really unsettling. You probably didn't see it at first, but a pair of glowing eyes are without a doubt watching him from the trees. Maybe they were the very eyes of the beast itself, as it changes his way while making that hideous, inhuman scream. It's late at night when a YouTuber named Single Aphel hears something just outside of his home. His curiosity outweighs his fear, and so he takes a camera outside with him to try and find the source. At least one person is sure this is a demon, but a lot of people are saying it's just a fox. Let me know what you hear. This video was taken in December, which does fall in line with the fox mating season. Still, it's kind of strange that the person living here claims to have never heard this before and doesn't know what it is. Here's another clip to help you analyze the source with me.
What is that noise?
Was this a fox or something much worse? Like the rake? Esmeralda Vega is recording her family opening presents on Christmas, but one toy in particular keeps interrupting what should have been a happy family moment.
that shit moved again. I'm throwing it across the.
Maybe someone is controlling this toy from another room, or maybe it's motion activated, but based on their surprised reactions, I don't think anyone is moving this toy on purpose. If anything, the toy seems to move on its own as soon as the camera person mentions it, almost like it has a mind of its own. If anybody recognizes this toy, please let me know what it's called and if it's remote controlled or not. Maybe together we can verify if this video is real or not. Michael Pomeroy owns a shop in Plymouth, England called Something Different, and in this shop is a tall Mickey Mouse doll that is quite different indeed. Michael opens the shop one day to find Mickey Mouse laying face down well over a foot away from its usual spot in a corner. When Michael checks the camera, he is surprised to find the haunted Mickey Mouse toy literally moving on its own. At first I thought it was thrown by someone off camera, but here you can see how it clearly takes a few running steps forward before collapsing. Let me know if you can see it. I have no idea how this could have been faked besides computer effects, but the way the doll moves looks very real to me. A YouTuber named Angelo Black gathers some friends and together they head to a local tunnel that's rumored to get more terrifying and dangerous the farther down you go. They begin their journey with the goal of going deeper than anyone has dared to before. Laughing and joking at first, but soon growing more serious as they huddle close, banding together against a gnawing claustrophobic dread that nobody wants to be the first to acknowledge. Eventually, they find a lonely portion of pipe that is next to no graffiti and bravely keep going. After traveling a great distance, they're now staring down an even narrower passageway that feels wrong enough to make all of them stop. One of them asks who's there, and this wild growl comes from the darkness within.
Come closer.
Who's there?
Before they even have time to react, the camera person thinks a face is looking at them, which I don't see, but I do hear this faint moan shortly afterwards. It's definitely coming from up ahead.
Wait.
The moan soon changes into the same growl again, even louder this time, that I think might actually be a rusty old drain pipe letting loose. Still, I wouldn't take any chances by sticking around, especially not after I heard this. Their phone mysteriously stops recording at this point, and they get out of there fast. But whether it stopped recording because of a low battery or because of paranormal interference has never been verified. A mother records her child happily pressing Play-Doh into different shapes, completely unaware that the toy moves twice on its own. The first time is almost unnoticeable, so watch closely.
What are you doing?
Play-Doh.
The second time, however, is much more obvious. I mean, look again and you'll see both of the kids' hands are completely off of the toy when it suddenly somehow moves towards him. This video is one of the few instances where I have absolutely no counterpoint to disprove it, and I can only conclude that what you've witnessed is almost certainly paranormal. There's something unnatural in this yard. Can you tell what it is? Published by Ghost Chanel in April of 2022. You can see a white object moving in the darkness. The object is a little figure. The figure's arms reaches out and then this happens. Reaching out his arms moves the cart back. After moving it back again, the ghost disappears from view, only to reappear on the other side of the cart. A moment later, he is sleeping on it. Are these phantom powers being used for good or evil? They seem to be just for fun. A CCTV system in India shows a man walk past a little girl playing by herself. She reaches out here at the 5-second mark, but I'm not sure if she says anything to him or not. If she does, he doesn't seem to respond. He stops and it looks like he might be concerned for her well-being at first, but that's not the case. At the 45-second mark, he pauses to look directly at her, then over his shoulder to check inside the house nearby, presumably to see if any witnesses were near. He says something to her and brings a hand up to her like she is thinking something through, probably trying to judge if a statement is true. They start to walk away from her house, and he is pointing at something all the while, maybe at some imaginary promise around the corner, meant to get her to walk with him. Everything is going to plan until she suddenly rushes back. He gives her some distance but does not leave. Time passes and he silently disappears behind a tree. I don't know if he was hoping to pop out and grab her or what, but it's definitely more creepy behavior. He stands there for a full minute after the initial encounter until walking away. Maybe he made a note of this house and plans to return. This car is making its way down the BKE Expressway in Singapore when it manages to catch the split-second image of what could be a paranormal hitchhiker searching for its next ride. The ghostly presence looks too tall to be a normal human being, and its limbs look too long as well. Though I guess this stretched appearance could be an optical illusion from being captured at a high rate of speed. Some people even say it looks like they are floating. I want to hear your opinion, so let me know if you agree. If you think of pixies as cute little fairy-like creatures, think again. Published by Erwin Saunders, these pixies apparently turned up at an inconvenient time. Concealed in a portable toilet, Erwin's son is waiting in the thick forest, so he and Erwin can spy these little creatures. The little guys are springing around the moss-covered ground. One of them even climbs atop the portable toilet, while Erwin's son sits inside. Peering out the window, he sees this creature, which looks more like a goblin to me than a pixie. Eventually, the pixies leave, but not without throwing sticks at the tent.
They're throwing things at the tent.
Are these the pixies of your imagination, or are they their evil twin brothers? Either way, I'm gonna stay far away from that forest. This strange and scary reflection looks like someone is staring straight into the window of a YouTuber named Hatchet TV. It's dark outside and there's absolutely no light, so exactly how this reflection is able to appear in the first place is a mystery. Look up close and you can make out an oversized and misshapen head with a large nose and ghoulish frown.
I see it right there. That's crazy. Turn on the light.
At first I thought this video was obviously fake because he was recording his own reflection, but when Hatchet TV turns on the lights and steps back, the face is still there. I have no other explanation besides the paranormal. The Leeds Library in the United Kingdom attracts top academics and research scholars, and apparently ghosts too, at least if this paranormal sighting caught on camera is to be believed. The spooky ghost activity was caught on tape during a paranormal investigation led by a group called Spirit Truth Seekers. Watch the camera blur when an apparition walks up and touches her at 6 minutes and 27 seconds.
Oh my God, I am feeling a breeze.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Are you stood by the lady across the
There's
table?
definitely something here. I just got a shiver.
The ghost meter goes off at the exact same time she feels the presence of something paranormal. A psychic with them says this ghost's name is John.
Are you the same male as we were talking to earlier? Ooh, spy.
And it isn't long before John the ghost is communicating with them through an EVP session caught on tape, British accent and all.
Say it again clearly, please. Circle. Where are you stuck?
Tell them certain shot, the ghost says, perhaps alluding to how it passed away. The EVPs are cryptic, but then one message comes across very clearly.
Are you happy?
Hide, John says in a commanding voice. I would have probably gone running out of there, but they asked some more questions, and then, after failing to get much information, the ghost hunters called the EVP session to a close. The Leeds library is over 250 years old, so I have no problem believing it's haunted and this paranormal investigation is real. A YouTuber named Terrapin Joe has handcrafted a collection of sailors that, when activated together, fills the house with a shrieking laughter that can drive you insane. Maybe this is just a part of the sound sample being used, but I think I can hear one of them screaming louder than the rest here at 36 seconds into the video. Not only that, but the eye of this one becomes totally black at 46 seconds before going back to normal, almost like it's giving you a wink.
Alright guys, I'm gonna show you one of the reasons we hate this house.
There's a YouTuber named Not Your Average Wife, who apparently does not live in your average home either. Her dog Catherine absolutely refuses to go down the steps leading to their basement. Follow the dog's eyes because I think it might be seeing something down there that none of us can.
Catherine, come on baby. Come on pretty. Come on baby.
Not even a nudge from behind can convince Catherine to go down the stairs.
Come on Catherine.
And just to prove it's not a general fear of steps, they show her using different stairs without a problem. Maybe the dog almost fell down basement steps or something, and is now afraid of them. At least, that's the only non-paranormal explanation I can think of. And if it is paranormal, based on how Catherine is acting, it must be something sinister in that basement. This person was hoping to have caught a fish on video, but instead they've caught a different creature altogether.
Bats for days. Look, he's right there. Dude, he flew right in my face.
A bat is caught on camera flying, almost going into his mouth, and you can hear him spit in disgust.
Look, he's right there. Dude, he flew right in my face.
This creepy bat encounter is beyond creepy, but it should be really alarming for two main reasons. One, a bat should be able to avoid people in wide open spaces with no problem, so this one was probably targeting him on purpose. 2, bats are nocturnal, so having one aggressively fly at you in the middle of the day could mean it has rabies. In other words, definitely not something you'd want to come in close contact with, especially not your open mouth. I really hope they're okay. A visit to the doctor's room for a quick medical checkup might be in order just to make sure. 2 creepy videos show how a normal looking workplace break room is actually haunted when objects start moving on their own. The object looks like it's being pulled with a string, but then it falls over in the opposite direction like a ghost pushes it. The second creepy video, taken on a different day, shows a co-worker losing his mind when an apparent ghost moves more objects on their own. The hidden camera angle looks like this scary video could be a prank, like someone might have been making the objects move off camera in both videos. It's creepy though because according to them, no one else was there. What do you think about the scary things they've caught on tape? Is it paranormal? A YouTuber named Daniel Ott performs a summoning ritual that quickly comes to a close after he begins to feel weird. In doing so, he accidentally records a strange moving light while describing how bad he feels.
I don't know, my body, it just doesn't feel right now. I've just been hearing things.
It might be trails of light left by the paranormal, or it could just be light reflecting off the chandeliers as he crosses the dining room. But still, as soon as he walks into the next room, this fleeting shadow appears on the wall. It could belong to him, but the angles don't quite match up.
Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. I'm not sure if I'm probably gonna make another one of these.
One of these experiences could be easily explained away, but having both of them happen back to back is almost too much of a coincidence for me to believe, especially after a summoning ritual. The adventurer Abdullah Al-Anbar heads to the Devil's House of Evil Horror, an abandoned house somewhere in Saudi Arabia that's haunted by a poltergeist, or also known as a jinn. It doesn't take the explorer very long to discover how the house got its nickname. Whatever is in here is beyond creepy.
Bismillah.
Much to his surprise, every door opens at the same time. It's like he's being invited inside.
Bismillah, Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
We all saw the door slam by itself, but I bet you didn't see this elusive shadow person crouch out of sight when he first enters at 5 minutes and 10 seconds. His flashlight begins to flicker as paranormal energy gathers all around. He can sense something malevolent is near. The door is slamming repeatedly by itself. No one is hiding on the other side. That's when the jinn tries to keep him here forever.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah. 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 Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ايش اللي سوى هنا؟ استغفر الله العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله بسم الله بسم الله.
Heavy footsteps follow him down the stairs as he bolts from the house of evil. I'd say the house lived up to its name that night based on his paranormal evidence. A YouTuber named Yvonne hears a noise coming from her kitchen and grabs her phone to record. After 15 seconds of silence, a cabinet door opens to let an item drop onto the counter.
Oh my god.
The obvious answer is that someone pulled a string to open it. However, the cabinet opens to the right and no one is on that side. I guess someone could have been directly underneath, but when Yvonne gets closer, you can see nobody is on the ground, so I'm not sure what to think. A YouTuber named Visually Creeped TV is walking around a cemetery in Wisconsin when he hears creepy whistling from within a crypt that is locked and 100 years old. Take a look and try to tell me which direction you think it's coming from.
Let's go walk down here. What the f?
The only thing I find odd is that he initially looks in the opposite way of the crypt. When he first hears the noise, if the whistle was truly coming from inside of the crypt, I think he would instinctively turn the other way. He quickly walks around the crypt to verify no one is around, and then he hears the whistle again, this time where he just was moments ago.
Oh, like right behind me. Hello?
Overall, there's no easy way to fake this video. It doesn't really sound like speakers or anything like that, and it does sound like it's coming from inside of this structure, but the gates are chained shut. This video was taken around Halloween when paranormal investigator and YouTuber The Fam visited the gravesite where famous rapper XXXTentacion was laid to rest. He records the glass door while paying their respects, and you can see the inside of the memorial is empty. But when they pass over the door a second time, something is very different. Look at the bottom left window or you'll miss it. What's especially crazy is how he seems to appear as soon as they leave a hat and harvest pumpkin as tribute. If this video is to be believed, then it's as if he is paying his respects to his fans from beyond the grave. AJ and her friend are hiking the Glacier National Park in Montana when they see a bear charging towards them. The bear sighting becomes even more terrifying when they lose track of it somewhere below. It could come up the small embankment to charge at them, but instead it changes courses and runs towards a second tour group. They frantically scream to try and keep the bear away, but it's of no use. The animal is far from scared as it runs straight into them.
Don't run.
Or should I say straight through them. As it turns out, the bear is more interested in getting a wild goat that just so happens to be on the other side. But if any of them had tried to run away, which is a natural instinct when a bear is barreling down on you, then this scary situation would have gone from a bear sighting caught on video to something much worse. This person's nails are just long enough to produce one of the most stressful sounds ever recorded. If you somehow are able to keep from cringing from stress at what I'm about to show you, consider me impressed. Worst of all, judging by these claw marks seen at the very beginning of the video, I think they tend to enjoy making this noise all of the time. This footage is terrifying to any cyclist on the road. Published in April of 2022, Cycling Mikey writes, "The footage was given to me by a subscriber who asked me to make the video available. In case anyone knows this man and is willing to give his details, he had videoed the driver using his mobile phone, and the driver took exception to that." Captured at around 10:30 p.m. in July of 2021, the footage shows a cyclist riding as fast as he can from the car in question. He is calling out to any passers-by to call the police.
Help me! Call the police! Call the police! Help me! Help me!
The car is clearly chasing him. It even drives up on the sidewalk at one point as the cyclist tries to escape. The cyclist luckily eventually loses the driver, pulls into a driveway and drops his bike to the ground. Commenters call this outrageous and criminal behavior. Well, at least one commenter was able to capture the license plate number. Was it enough to find the culprit, or does he have dodgy plates? Sadly, I was never able to find out. For a long time, this office webcam video in Lewiston, Idaho has caught weird things on camera between the hours of midnight to 2 a.m. Strange objects like orbs and other creepy stuff. One night the webcam glitches out really bad and starts picking up odd specks of white light shortly before this mysterious figure is caught on camera with one arm raised. The apparition gets bigger as it presumably floats closer to the camera. The person who uploaded this says the building has a history of paranormal sightings. Maybe what we're seeing now is exactly what was haunting them. Freaky, right? A solid stream of worm-like invaders moves in unison across the forest floor, while a dog whines with fear. Listen to the noises their dog makes, and try to tell me it's not warning them to get far away. There's got to be some kind of logical explanation in nature for this, but it sure looks like the start of a parasitic invasion to me. And when another canine joins in, I can't help but suspect this group has discovered something they'll soon wish they had never come across. Obviously the animals are on guard, but from what exactly is my question? This dashcam video originates from somewhere in Russia. A large truck swerves out of the way of something invisible, narrowly missing oncoming traffic in the process. Then a pedestrian suddenly appears from behind the truck and calmly walks away like nothing happened. The uploader of this video is sure that this is a ghost, and assuming this video is not CGI, I would have to agree. Slow the video down and you can clearly see how nothing is in the truck's path at first. And then the person instantly appears only after the truck has passed. It's almost as if the truck has passed straight through them. Ken Heron and his ghost investigating assistant Gary explore an old burned down house covered in soot and ash. Trash litters the inside, and every surface feels sharp and broken, so they can't stay for long. As they are leaving, Ken gets the feeling that they are being watched, a feeling that Gary soon confirms.
Anything behind me? I'm scared. Dude, there is something up.
Sure enough, this figure is observing them from the very corner of the window, barely noticeable if not for its single glowing white eye. They look to be crouched down to make themselves even harder to see, but here's the thing, nobody should be standing in that spot at all. Ken and Gary were just in that house, and they both know that's a portion of the room with a collapsed floor. This cemetery footage was taken over 10 years ago, and the owner was looking over it at random when he noticed a humanoid object in the background for the first time. As the camera pans over the tombstone, you can see something rushing out from the background. As soon as the cameraman noticed this, he enhances the footage and slows it down to make sure his eyes weren't deceiving him. To his amazement, the adjustment only made things even more clear. This is what he saw. This strange sighting has since caused a huge debate online as to whether or not this humanoid was a gray alien or a ghoul. Many people point out that aliens aren't really seen in the cemetery, but ghouls on the other hand. Who knows what other kinds of humanoids have been accidentally caught on tape, waiting to be discovered. It's 1:30 at night, and David Oman is working late from his home office. He feels like he is no longer alone, so he glances at his CCTV system just in time to see a shadow briefly pass by. David quickly archives this strange occurrence and uploads it to YouTube. The shadow itself looks transparent and moves way too fast to be a normal person. This video almost looks like it was sped up to create this ghostly effect. But if this really is the normal speed, then I have no idea what else this could be besides a paranormal intrusion. These underground tunnels in Manchester, England, were once used to escape air raids in the 1940s. Countless people huddled for their lives down here en masse, and their collective theory is thought to have left a haunting impression ever since. Now a YouTube channel called Dark Arts TV investigates these tunnels to see what he can discover with his own eyes. It isn't long before his blue light shines upon a rail-thin figure standing at a bizarre angle. They are a good distance away, but it looks like they might be wearing baggy trousers and a vest with oversized sleeves, reminiscent of the 40s era. If this is not a ghost to you, then what do you think this is? As he turns the corner, his camera picks up what appears to be a pair of human legs hanging out a small hole in the wall. What's most terrifying is how Dark Arts TV doesn't seem to notice the legs at the time, as if they weren't visible in real life. And to further back this theory, when you pause at 24 minutes and 28 seconds, the beam of his flashlight seems to move through them. Finally, as they prepare to leave, they encounter this shadowy face directly behind them. It doesn't look like a person per se, but rather the fading memory of someone who was present, now doomed to repeat a terrifying moment forever.
Eyebrows, a hairline, the chin. You can even see it at the bottom here, if you can just catch the end of my thumb, where I'm covering now. There, you can see the line of his neck as his head is bent round the corner.
This grainy cell phone video comes from the SNDT Women's University in Mumbai, India. They are walking down a long hall filled with various classroom conversations when they see another student coming the opposite way. Well, I guess they didn't technically see them, since it was only a pair of shoes with nobody attached. Tell me, am I losing my mind? Or if this really is a ghost student going to class? A YouTube channel called Exploring with Fighters travels to the same tunnel system as Dark Arts TV. He is explaining his nervous anticipation when a loud scrape occurs directly over his shoulder. No one is near him. You can tell by everyone's distant chatter that they are pretty far away. Listen for yourself and tell me if you agree no one else was nearby. At least no one alive.
This video is going to be far.
They all get a really bad feeling upon discovering what could be fragments of human. Look at this part and tell me if he is tossing a part of someone's jaw or just a random piece of debris. I was wondering if these could belong to an animal, but then they discover a large collection of combs left over top. like this one for example. So I think we may have sadly found our answer. They are ready to leave before they come across any other horrible discoveries, but something follows them. This extremely creepy low laugh follows them on their way out, while the rest of the audio remains the same. In fact, what's especially scary is how one of these girls lets out a small chuckle shortly before this noise comes out.
People like pulling the fire brigade. Alright, so right now, our homie scared of spiders. We're trying to...
Almost as if it's laughing in response. Listen for yourself and tell me if you think this is edited or not. A disturbing shadow is settling over this room. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit. Kenton Bryant Music writes, "My buddy had his motion sensor go off for this. It never goes off unless his dog walks in front of the camera. The only problem? The dog was locked in the bedroom at the time." This was captured on his friend's Wise security camera in February of 2020. The video shows a darkened room with a light source at one end. A dark shadow sweeps into view, covering the light source briefly before disappearing from sight. The strangest part about this is that the shadow seems not to touch the ground. Is it flying? Redditor Gucci the God says that it could be lights from a passing car, coupled with a low light capture of the camera. But the OP nixes this idea, saying there's no window there and the driveway is private. Some in the comments think this is legit paranormal footage. This really looks like a shadow figure to me. What do you think? Any other explanations?
Humanoids apparently come in all different sizes. The one in this video is mistakenly labeled as a goblin, though it looks completely human except for its height. The supposed goblin in this video is shorter than 1 brick tall. It peeks around from behind a wall and quickly disappears once it sees the camera. The camera follows it to the other side of the wall and finds a tiny hole that the humanoid must have escaped into. If it wasn't for the video, this supposed goblin would not have left a trace behind.
Adam McIntyre travels from Ireland to London to investigate the Woodrow High House, a house said to be haunted by the grieving ghost of a widow named Lady Helena Stanhope, who has been endlessly roaming these hallways since the 1600s. Adam and his ghost hunting pals think they encounter the spirit lady haunting this hallway, and I think they could be right.
And immediately the door starts like opening and closing.
Yeah. No, I'm actually scared.
Wait. There's literally no draft here. Wait. I don't like it. Don't scream. Oh my god.
Adam is freaking out because a ghost is slamming doors in the same hallway where he will be spending the night. He mentions Helena nicely by name, treating her like a person rather than a sideshow attraction.
This is my bedroom corridor, so I don't want her, like, Helena.
And Helena the ghost responds by closing the door gently instead of slamming it shut like before. The three of them are really scared, so they don't go right away, but they do briefly explore the room from the door, and I don't see anyone standing there. As they stand breathlessly outside, it becomes more than apparent that an apparition does not want to let them in. Finally, the nervous trio works up the courage to enter the haunted room and conduct a little paranormal experiment of their own for more evidence. They lock the door to prove that it really is slamming the door and not a draft. After a while,
like proper lock it. Oh, is it the wind, Caitlin? Is it the wind?
unfortunately, Adam's head is blocking the lock when it happens, so we never get to see how the ghost manages to open the door, or if it was one of them all along. It's 10 at night when a sphere of light travels across the living room of a YouTuber named Play With Me. Moments later, this spectral figure emerges from the same area where the light last went off to. Its see-through body is especially visible against the dark hardwood floor. as it crosses the room and walks straight through the door without opening it. There's no doubt that this is the sphere of a person, but is this editing or a real ghost is the real question. A father and his 2 children explore this abandoned house as a strange way to bond together, but I think it might have ended up ripping them apart. They cross into the dark kitchen and immediately hear a wild growl, followed by low whispers and a pair of glowing eyes. They are hurrying out of the house as fast as they can, but debris is everywhere, and they have to move slow. Just when they are about to leave, they find the way blocked by their absolute worst fears. The thin ghoul is barely reminiscent of a human. Its features wide and dark and taking up large portions of its face. Its eyes and nose are missing. Its mouth nothing more than a wide cavern, extending from cheek to cheek. This mysterious video was taken during a tour of the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The tour guide is talking about ghostly visitors from other time periods when something darts by low to the ground.
The frilly dresses, the little breeches shorts, the nice little blouses.
Many people agree that this looks like it could be one of the many variations of toy rabbits that were popular during the 1800s and 1900s. I suppose it could just be a speck of dust or even computer-generated effects. No one says anything out loud, which is suspicious, but I did notice one of the girls looks down where the object was last moving and tracks it perfectly with her head. Maybe everyone there just thought they saw something out of the corner of their eye and weren't sure until they watched the video later. This Aztec wind instrument has been terrifying people for hundreds of years, and you're about to be next. The noise is supposed to replicate your final screams and is even said to haunt your dreams. Listen to this and tell me how stressed out it makes you, if at all. Here it is again, this time in a professional recording studio to get the full effect. I definitely can hear how this sounds like someone screaming for their life. Can you? This footage comes from Vietnam, where all sorts of strange creatures are rumored to still roam free through the wild and unconquered forests. This stuffed humanoid in particular has been deceased for quite some time, possibly for decades, and now looks discolored and slowly falling apart. It appears to be half man, half snake. Long blonde hair grows from its human-like head, which is furry all over yet also covered in straw blonde facial hair. 2 rodent-like arms stick out from its fur-covered upper body. Its face looks like a cross between a man and an ape. The nose looks like it belongs to a primate, but the gray lifeless eyes and smirking mouth look like they could belong to a person. Its scaly lower half looks exactly like a snake's. Watching this thing in action must have been a terrible and shocking sight. How such a creature could come to be is unexplainable, yet here it is. Perhaps there are even more of them out in the wild. A YouTuber named Musafir Vlogs is biking through India late at night when something causes his bike to stop working. They later claimed during this part to have felt a spirit close by, and upon starting their bike heard a voice. I'm not sure if I hear it or not, but since this video has a lot of likes and so many people who claim to hear it, maybe I'm just not listening correctly. I think I might hear a gulping noise at 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Almost like someone taking their final breaths underwater. Tell me what you hear. This alleged ghost video was taken on the 2nd floor of a college, but I think it might simply be a chair getting pulled by string. Still, do you see anything here when zoomed in? I can't say I do. This security video of a bike warehouse in the Netherlands shows no one is around when a ghost decides to take one for a midnight spin. It doesn't get very far, and the object falls to the ground. This video could be fake because the all-white floor is a perfect color to hide a fishing line tied to the back. Or maybe it's just haunted. Either way, coming to your job and finding a bike on the floor, and then finding this caught on tape would be beyond creepy. If this video doesn't get your heart racing, it certainly did for this guy. His name is Daniel Stanley, and he gets so pumped up that he can make his heart do this. Watch this and tell me if you know what medical condition this is called. I couldn't find much information on this person, aside from the name and his reputation for being able to make his heart race so hard it nearly pops out of his chest. So please fill me in about his life if you happen to know more. This video, titled "Proof They Do Exist, Ghosts Swinging on Light," was taken at a body repair shop at an undisclosed location. There are only 2 fans, both off. One is even pointed at the ground, yet this light is going crazy. It's even weirder when you see that both the next light over and the one furthest away are hanging still as can be. Here's another video of the shop taken on a different day. Watch for anything weird and tell me what you find, because I see nothing to cause this. There are no vents in the ceiling, so what could this be? This video was harder to find than a PS5 before a school teacher in Swinton, Louisiana apparently leaked this creepy CCTV video of an alleged ghost sighting at 3:30 a.m. The video shows a spectral pair of eyes floating in midair shortly after the alarm system goes off. I want to know whether or not this ghost sighting could actually be a cobweb up close. With that said, the reason this video is so creepy is because this school has an advanced infrared security system. I don't think a spider web would be enough to set it off, but maybe some security camera experts can chime in and let us know. You are probably asking yourself what could possibly be scary about ice. Well, it's not so much about ice itself, but rather what's growing around the area that forms the cubes and pushes them out. A thick layer of yellow filth has taken over this restaurant ice machine, which is somehow still in service and making ice for customers. I'm not even sure what this specific part of the machine is used for, but I know I regret watching it. The yellow substance has crusted into black mold along the corners. Again, I honestly can't believe this video was recorded in a restaurant that was still open. And that's just what this ice machine looks like on the outside. What's growing inside is even worse. Take a look at this and tell me if you would want this floating anywhere near your cold drink. You'd think the cubes would be absolutely disgusting and easy to spot, but look at this ice. You'd never realize there was much of a problem, or where it really came from. How would you feel if your CCTV camera caught this? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Relevant Hole 5903. This footage of a woman in white was caught on camera in the dark of night. It shows a ghostly figure in white crossing the grounds outside of a gated building with barbed wire fixed to the top. The stranger walks slowly in her flowing dress until she leaves the camera's sight. Some are suggesting this is a classic walk of shame. Others think the Redditor lives next to some shady stuff. But some are sure it's the legendary La Lorena. If it is, stay clear of water, because the legend goes that she would take your life in the water. Redditor Blues Forever 67 writes, "This is one of those instances where I think, what if we see ghosts all the time, but they're so vivid that we just think they're people?" I have to agree with that statement. My mind has been blown by this footage. A YouTuber named JMansVlogs356 was watching a movie. When he hears a noise coming from the basement, he notices that the door, which is normally locked, has somehow become unlocked in the past few minutes. Thinking fast, Jay grabs a large hammer and braces himself for the worst. Soon after, something stops him before he even gets a chance to go down the steps. He claims to have seen a face, and his camera does pick up what could be the head of a tall man staring back at him. According to the description for this video, the police were called and the man was arrested, though there is no proof to back up this story aside from this video evidence. Reddit user Pentax25 says that his dad captured something rather unnerving on his porch camera late at night on a breezy April evening. The OP says he has no idea what exactly was captured and is in need of second opinions. Take a look at this piece of footage and make sure your volume is up relatively high. That's chilling. I just wasn't expecting that scream there. That was absolutely terrifying. Really caught me off guard. Especially just that one lone scream in the middle of the night. And apparently something else is also captured here. Right there, just those very faint whispers. So that's just absolutely bizarre, this whole video between that one scream, and I know the usual explanation when it comes to these screams is, oh, it's like a fox or some sort of animal. What really I think makes this video terrifying is that that can't be the case, because there's also these very distinct whispers heard. But obviously that scream is by far just the scariest part of this video. Let's play that back one more time. Just absolutely terrifying. And there are the whispers. The video goes on for about another full minute after the last sound can be heard, but sadly, or luckily depending on how you look at it, no other sounds can be heard afterward. Opinions on what was making these terrifying noises are divided, with some saying that it could just be something simple like a fox roaming around late at night through the neighborhood or some other animal, but as you can expect, others are thinking that it could be that of a skinwalker, a creature in Navajo folklore that is said to be a dangerous witch that has the distinct ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. Looking at this video footage, that description seems eerily accurate. The homunculus is rumored to be an artificial type of creature that was first discovered sometime during the medieval ages by the way of alchemy. The recipe for this legend has since been lost, but some YouTubers have claimed to have rediscovered a way after doing some tinkering in their kitchen. The process used to create a homunculus is kind of gross. You can look it up if you want, but all I will say is that it involves fertilizing a chicken egg using a syringe. Next, you seal the egg off in a plastic container and keep it warm by wrapping it up in a cloth. For some reason, you also have to keep the area very dark. Perhaps this has something to do with witchcraft. No one can touch or disturb the egg in the slightest. You can't even look at it. If you do, you will kill the homunculus before it can hatch. After enough time has passed, about 10 days or so, you remove the egg from its container. The egg appears to have developed some sort of infection, but this could also be some normal part of the process. The YouTuber cracks open the disgusting egg, and this is what he finds laying inside.
Вот он наглядно виден, но это существо, конечно же, не может обладать какой-то высокоразвитой формой интеллекта. В лучшем случае это что-то на уровне амебы или там, может быть, медузы.
This tiny creature has no discernible features except for some long tendrils attached to a shriveled up central body. It looks like a chewed up white piece of gum, except it moves. Apparently, they are no smarter than a jellyfish. Maybe the ones from medieval times were more advanced. There's videos out there that tries to prove the homunculus experiment is fake, but then again, maybe they didn't do it right. Maybe they didn't wait long enough or else made some noise. The process is reportedly very delicate and can take at least a couple tries to master. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.